Sarah, you are a whiz.
I know,
Thank goodness for
it's
you.
amazing.
Okay, here is where I started before. I think it's obvious that I can't see the slides from here because I wasn't reading the right one. So the promotions committee has also been working on the Santa's workshop event. They have been talking about this and reporting monthly throughout the year. They will be the dates you can see are they're holding this. That's when Santa will be there. Trevor Fur Bay is the storefront we're going to use for the location. It will be decorated. And we'll bring people downtown to shop and dine. Because it's all about economic development, but it also will be a placemaking event and make people think of downtown Harbor Springs as a place where they took their children when they were little and they enjoyed Santa so much and had a wonderful time in downtown Harbor Springs. So they need some money to do this, and you can see their little budget there. $6,000 is what they're requesting. There is money in the budget available for this year to do this. It does conform to the downtown plan. No reason that it shouldn't be approved. As what they're asking today is formal approval, so an amount not to exceed $6,000 so that they can hold this event this year. Actually, and it could be included, it'll be a trial, and it could be included in years to come. And perhaps it could grow. It could turn into something that would have, every Friday night, or more visits from Santa, more time, more events that would happen at the workshop. So it seems to me a good start to something kind of special for Harbor Springs. So what they need today is a motion to approve the expense. And I see Jody, the chair of the promotions committee, wanted to add something.
I looked over the budget when you sent the packet, and we have 10,000 in the shuttle trial. So I think, and we had talked at the last promotions meeting, if you could just move some money someplace from the budget. So that's 10,000 that didn't use this year.
Right. So, and there are other things that have not been used as well. So we don't need to really worry about that.
Okay, is there any questions, concerns, comments from the board?
I have a quick question. For design and decor, I mean, I think this all looks great. I think it's a great idea. I think it's gonna be really helpful and awesome and wonderful to send people from my store down there, and advertise for it. But just a quick question for design and decor, any of it reusable? If so, where are we gonna store it?
The storing could be an issue, and we did talk about that at the committee level, and we are going to work to have it as reusable as possible. There is a little bit of storage here that we've talked about several. Jody, can you remember some of the ones that were thrown out? Was it your garage?
My basement.
Your basement. Correct, it is. And then there could be things that we do that are not necessarily storable, wrapping big boxes, that could be thrown out.
Also, I think that the local, like Ace Hardware might be able to donate a tree and some other items. But I mean, I know when we had done a promotion, we went to some of the local stores and they did give some decor product to us that you can have for future use. So I would go out to Home Depot if you just apply for it. It's up to $1,000. Ace Hardware, basically just tell them what you're doing. I think they'd be happy to donate, but that's something that we might want to try to reach out to.
It's a great idea. Because we understand that storage is a problem. We've talked about it. Going forward, we're going to have to solve that sometime if we're going to continue to up our events and what we do. The other thing I could mention is Deborah Gilligan is a committee member. She's a Gaddles manager and has a background in design and can do things on a shoestring and has beautiful thoughts. And she's working with the committee right now to get all their thoughts together, what they'd like to see this look like. So that's why $4,000, we may not use all that, but we know we have to have a curtain for a backdrop. There are a few other things in there that we know we're going to have. So.
Yeah, I just wanted to think of like what's reusable and things like that. I know it's certain things like wrapping paper, you don't want to reuse it 'cause it's going to get gross and it's going to get wavy. But yeah, I'm good with
I'm
it.
all about reuse, reduce, recycle, all of that, but then you have to have a place to put it. So we're going to get a compromise between those two concepts.
Perfect. Are there any comments from the public? Karen?
It's Friday, December 12th from 4 to 8 p.m. And then Saturday from 10 to 1. during the day. Is that what that is saying up there? And then 10 to 1 on the 20th. Is that right? And that's it for Santa? And then this Trevor Burbay, please forgive me. What store is that?
Trevor Burbay.
Let's
Right next to
go.
the chamber, right next door to the chamber. Yeah, you know where we are.
So I think, I mean, are we using Trevor Burbay's name for a reason? Because it would be cool to make it in front of the chamber. To me, that's the more famous place store.
Inside the building.
Inside,
So that
Ah.
it's not outside, but it's
Ah.
inside. So this allows us to have a space
Okay,
that's
at
more.
the chamber, Trevor Burbay at the chamber storefront. Okay.
No, it's Trevor Furbay's store. They close in the winter.
Oh, are they closing?
So we're using their
Okay.
store to actually.
It's like an annex for the.
So it's an inside, it'll be like Santa's workshop inside.
this is their project. This
Yeah,
is all them.
Oh, it's not yours?
No, this is all, okay,
We'll give Trevor Burbay props for using their buildings,
space.
but it really is going to be Santa's workshop.
Gotcha. That's
Signed
cool.
as such.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any other comments? No? Okay. So on the table is the recommendation to approve the funds for Santa's workshop. Motion,
I have a motion that we approve the workshop.
Second.
second by Sarah. The motion is approved. May I get a vote? Anyone in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Thank you. We'll support. Sounds like a blast to me.
I'm sure you'll be volunteering there.
I'm Mrs. Claus. What are you talking about?
Okay. The recommendation from the enhancement committee, they have been for the unification beautification project. You've seen the work that they've done so far this summer, but then there's this piece of sidewalk that is on State Street that is in front of L'Esprit and go on the way to the post office. This is a photograph of it. It's not in very good repair. It's very mottled. It's not a safety hazard, and it would be up to the DDA to fix this. I outlined again. There you go.
You're fine.
Okay, because it's not on the screen, so,
We're still online.
okay. Then I'll just wing it. So, Tubbs Masonry is doing some sidewalk repair work in the city this fall. And I spoke with him about could he add this to the project? And he was happy to do that, and he would be replacing those 4 sections of sidewalk that are modeled there. He can do it 2 ways. He can do it one with replacing the brick and leaving it like it is. He can do it also just concrete. So we need to decide which way we would like to see it done. And we also need to approve the expenditure. And the money for this would come out of there's plenty left over in the unification beautification budget. So I guess the enhancement committee is looking for a recommendation from the board today to approve that expenditure.
Okay, are there any comments from the board? Megan?
Yeah, I have a question. So, looking at that property, this ribbon of brick goes around all the way to Main Street and follows Trisha Woody. And that basically all the buildings are yellow, so it's aesthetically set up to have that brick. My question is, can we keep that brick and just replace the sidewalk? My other thought is, I know that we're looking at the infrastructure and doing the downtown area with the tree grates and so forth and unifying everything. If we don't replace the brick on this, if you look at Petoskey's aesthetics on their sidewalks, they do use red brick. It brings somewhat of a nice touch to the town. You have brick in front of your place on Graham Realty on the side street. You also have an interior storefront that has brick as well. And we did take out the red brick on the merchant's sidewalk. So before we start just pulling the red brick, I would like to know that we might be having a overview of maybe replacing brick or coming up with a game plan when we do the streets in that project.
So is what you're saying,
Is-
Maggie, is just as our big master plan for the streets,
I think we
make that a
should,
consideration.
yeah, because, but you are changing the aesthetics of this building by taking away that red brick, because this does do a ribbon around 3 storefronts, is my point.
I took some pictures late when I left work yesterday of Trish Whitty going all the way down, like you just suggested. All of that brick looks fine, you know, they're on the parking lot. This one here did not look so good. So, I mean, I'm not opposed to that. Is that how he bid it, or he just bid concrete?
Well,
No, it's true.
Oh, with it, okay.
so my question is, you know, when they did this, did the building owner own these 3 storefronts? And now they don't, maybe. And did we talk to the business owner to say, we're gonna change this? You know, because it is aesthetically does make a difference if we do change it. And I guess we're gonna break it right in front of the door, the storefront, if we do break it.
Well, the one around the squeeze door, which I believe is still owned by Ed Throckmorton. That one is oh, I wish I had the pictures up, but it's a
Yeah.
great entrance into their building. It is, and it looks good. It looks great. So the only thing I'm thinking is we'd have to replace these bricks right here. Going forward, I can't speak to that, like in a master plan, how that will tie
Right.
in.
Well, and also, is this area being done when they go down and work on State Street with the city?
I don't know what the other project is they're working on, I'm sorry.
And so I'm just throwing some thoughts for us down the road, because I think that we are making decisions because it's like, we have to make decisions. Because obviously the sidewalk is in disrepair. I believe it's a safety hazard myself. I don't know how they say it's not, because down the road closer to that storefront is just gravel. And a lot of people walk that to the post office every day. So I know that we have to make a decision, but I just want to start thinking forward. And so we're not making last minute decisions on these sidewalks and changing the look
So
of the town.
say that you are recommending and you think we should keep a brick in.
Yes,
I wouldn't argue with that.
I don't have an argument with it either, but I also do want to clarify that there is a large difference between what we see here and the red brick that we did not replace, the red brick that is in front of Tom's building, and this is pavers. This is very different. So I would never make a recommendation to put red brick on the ground, replace it if it's modeled, because it does not stand up to salt, plowing, all the things that happen. But I mean, I have no problem with replacing it. Going forward, I don't think I would be in favor of making a recommendation to put it all through the downtown, though, because I don't know if that, I mean, if we're looking at a difference of $800 for 4 pieces right now, if we want to continue to do that throughout the entire downtown, I think that that would be astronomical for the cost of what we have going forward. So I just think that putting that into perspective a little bit, like, I don't want to disfigure what they have going on here, but I also, if we are trying to make everything the same going forward, I don't know if I would justify an extra, you know, whatever, $200 per section of sidewalk that we'd have to add that in.
So that's a question when we do go forward, which could be next year, could be the year after, the year after. These things take a while, but right now this is needing to look premier, it needs to be fixed. And there is, just to clarify, there is a legal explanation that I can't quote you right now, but it talks about when a sidewalk is in disrepair and needs to be fixed because it's a liability, and this doesn't meet that requirement, so it's just the way it is.
But aesthetically,
Aesthetically, it
Because
needs
that
to
is
be
it.
fixed.
can we get those
or up.
recommendations so we can have it for ourselves? That would be nice.
I think we can, yeah, no problem.
What was the question? Sorry.
She's
What-
asking for the legal designation
yeah.
of when a sidewalk needs
Yeah.
repair.
Any comments? Chuck, Tom?
If you put brick back in this area, you're just continuing the hodgepodge. We're gonna have brick here, not gonna have brick next door. Well, across the street, maybe we'll have some brick. Maybe it'll be the same, maybe it won't be the same. And pretty soon And we already have kind of a crazy quilt of stuff. And putting the brick back just continues that. Just my 2 cents.
Thanks.
And maybe that is going to the business owner and saying, hey, if this is the option, we're happy to replace the sidewalk. You know, maybe that's what we need to do. Maybe we need to go to the building owner and say, we're happy to replace the sidewalk for this price. If you are interested in having this brick stay here for the aesthetic purposes of your building, you know, I definitely agree with Bob. Like when we're comparing, you know, what's outside of Graham instead into this, it's completely different brick. It's not the same at all.
I agree. I think we need to approach the business owner.
So I think that if we approach them and
Building
say,
owner.
but at the same time, we want to approach every business owner, I mean, where do we draw the line? Because if they want to put any sort of entryway, any sort of different sidewalk, any sort of different pavers, then do we, you know, does that come into zoning? Does that come into what's allowed for someone to do, especially when it's city owned right away?
Okay, so I would
I don't
just
think mine's
jump in
working,
here.
sorry. I'll just keep yelling. Sorry, I don't think mine's working at all.
And caution about consulting with property owners about what is done in public right of way. It's they really can have an opinion about that, but it's the public right of way and it's not their property to make aesthetic decisions about. I would just caution,
But
it is a slippery slope.
But for some reason, you do have businesses or building owners that have done some aesthetics. And so maybe we just have some baseline so that we can go forward and talk to the building owners of what our rights are being the DDA versus what their rights are. Because someone put money into making this
You know what,
aesthetically
maybe,
different.
I just assumed, I assumed that was the city who did that.
I don't think so. I think it looks like whoever owned that property at one time.
I don't know that history. Does
Yeah.
anyone else know that? Joe, do you know that history? Okay,
So another thing on brick, you know, brick is laid on sand. The grasses and the little weeds can come through. And I don't know what those little dark spots are along the sides. I don't know if that's weed or what. But I sort of tend to want to agree with Bob that if we're to do a plan, it maybe it should be a plan that encompasses the sidewalks, all the sidewalks. The bricks can be collected and used for a beautification thing, you know, maybe back in the Merchants Walkway or something historically separate or little entrances to each door. You know, you can have a little brick square in front of a doorway versus this. I don't think I've ever really noticed that brick path going down there. It does look a little weird, doesn't it?
And it wraps around. So
Yeah, it wraps around.
wraps around up to me.
Well, wasn't that the gas station,
It was Green's Bakery.
Green's Bakery.
the bakery, right? So history might help, you know,
Wendy,
Tom,
Well, it used to be a gas station in that corner. I guess.
yeah.
I think it's still fire.
You say that the cut space are gonna do a sidewalk repair for the city this fall. Where is that?
Becky.
I'm sorry, I don't know that. I didn't.
Because I'm thinking that the sidewalk outside the American Legion is in dangerous condition. It is in barbarous shape. So I'm wondering about that, if you can do additional, because I agree, this looks terrible. But you're doing this for aesthetic reasons, and that one is such a crack that I think they differ as much as 3 inches in the 2 pieces of sidewalk alongside the Legion. And number 2, the brick that's there is concrete pavers, I heard someone say. Because I'm thinking about the brick behind on the Merchants Walkway and how it broke down. So I want to see a brick material that is going to hold up. And number 3, just speaking as a property owner, when the city comes in and says, this is ours, we can do to it what we want, I'm going at this kind of heavy handed, because if I have spent any money upgrading my property and it doesn't fit with the rest of the city, it's still my expenditure in my property. So I'd like to see if you can't formulate a plan where you work with property owners the business owners and not come at this just apple like.
Any other comments? And this is, we're just talking right now, just for this piece. We do have long, we're gonna, master plan takes time and it takes time to work on it, but it takes time to execute. So I think Becky mentioned it could be 2 years by the time we get it all wrapped up. Okay, board. The recommendation is to, I have to read this here, is to go. Hang on a second. It's a construction. Oh, here it is. From the enhancement committee for sidewalk repair expenditures as noted, 3,200 without brick and 4,000 for concrete and bricks. Are there any motions?
Are you gonna make a motion? Okay, go for it. I would say I've got one, but go for it.
Make a motion that we go with a 3,200 and get out of the rat's nest of brick here, brick not there, this kind of brick, that kind of brick. Oh, this brick is discontinued. Now we'll have to go to a different kind. Let's just simplify it.
I second that with the addition, like the statement that, in front, we're not gonna impede the front of his building. We are not going to take away his entryway, which we already said is in great shape. It's just gonna be this side section that we are going to replace. So I definitely second 3,200 for plain concrete. I don't know why I'm still touching it.
Okay, so the motion out there is the, that we recommend the $3,200 for the plain concrete in this section alongside of the spree and not touching any of the other brick. 3,200 is the bid.
One more public comment. So if this one isn't considered to be dangerous, is there any other area in the city that is considered dangerous that we would use the 3,200 for to fix?
I would think well, Wendy just mentioned one at the American Legion. I don't know, I think for some of us that look at it, it looks dangerous. I mean, it looks like a trip hazard right there if you walk by it. Everyone does on the way to the post office. I don't know what else would be out there that is considered dangerous to the definition of hazardous.
I mean, I would definitely agree that the Legion sidewalk is dangerous. I've seen it myself. I've seen people fall there. I know it's dangerous. I don't know. I mean, it hasn't been quoted, so I don't know. I mean, that would be 2 pieces of sidewalk that would need, I'm assuming, not an engineer here, but I'm assuming it'd be 2 rectangles that would need to be repaired and leveled, because that's the issue right now, is that one of them is risen up and there's a huge split. It's directly in front of the Legion on 3rd Street. But that has nothing to do with this, so I don't know if that's.
That one has not been brought to the attention of the committee, so now that it has, we'll go look at it and we'll see, and maybe John can fit that in. We have September to still recommend that.
Okay, so we do have a motion on the table. So we'll take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Everyone?
No.
No.
No, I think we're making a lot of assumptions and I still think that the building owner should be notified before we make a decision what we're doing. We can say we had voted to do concrete, but as I stand right now, we're assuming, and I'm gonna say no.
Okay. Motion passes.
And I would just add, I will speak to all those building owners with this.
Okay. Next is,
And also, can we have the guidelines of the safety?
Yes, I said,
That would be
yeah.
great.
I'll take those to the enhancement.
Yes.
This is, yes,
More quick question. So when you come to me at my store and I say, well, yeah, I'd like to have green brick in front of my store.
But if you own that, if you own that property, just like Cora owns her property, Cora can do whatever she wants in front of her property. She
Not on the public sidewalk though.
on the public side,
Not on the
in
public
front
side.
of your store. We don't know what the survey says on that, so I just wanna know the history of why that is different. So. I'm just wanting to be cautious before we go down and be in a bull in a china store, that's all I'm saying.
I think right now we do have the motion that was approved. And it'll get the sidewalk fixed, right? Going forward, we'll, lots will come up in our enhancement committee. Okay,
Move on.
move on.
Can we save the brick?
Oh, I'm sure we could.
Yeah, I mean, can we make that part of it and, Cora can tell us if it's worth, doing something else with?
I don't know anything about brick. I just know that pavers are something you would install in Michigan in the winter and brick is not. So that's all I know.
There may be some sort of historical.
I think they're pavers.
Yep, I think they're pavers as well, but I also have nowhere to store them. So I mean, if we are pulling them out, we're gonna have to find somewhere to store them.
Yeah.
So,
I'm sure there is someplace.
Okay,
If there's any way to save something, I'm guilty, so, especially if it's historic on any level. Moving along, we, as all of you, I'm sure know, the Harbor Master Building is gonna be closed for the winter after Labor Day, and it will be closed all winter due to the construction project there. At their most recent meeting, City Council had agreed by consensus that they would like to see 2 standard porta potties. You've seen them, the 1-seat unit, to be rented for the months of September, October, and May. And the potential cost for that is $6,000, and that includes the rental for the porta potties. It has a variance in there if they're ADA or not, and how often they need to be cleaned. So it could be 5, it could be 6, maybe it could be a little bit more. But they are asking for assistance and funding from the DDA. Now, things that you might want to consider as the DDA board while you're having this discussion is September, October, and May adequate? Do you want them more throughout the season? They should be having them in the colder months. We do have a holiday shopping season, we have Ice Fest. And then there's the thought that should we be supporting the stores that are open all year long, because we are always encouraging that, and this would show support for them.
I'd
So,
like to give just a little info. This will, I think, help. It's what I
okay,
have been working with. And the one thing we know that restrooms in the CBD are critical and it's lacking, but it's not just lacking in Harbor Springs, it's an issue all over. So I had spoke with Mike Frampus. He's the director of the library. The library is a public building, and I asked if it would be acceptable if we direct people to the library. They do have a restroom. It is not ADA compliant. It doesn't have to be there because of the building. But he said it is a public building. It is free for the public to use. It is something they're thinking about too, how to expand their restroom, because it's just, I mean, it's like going into somebody's bathroom at home. So he said, go ahead and do it. We have no problem with that. If he doesn't anticipate a maintenance problem, an additional maintenance problem. But he said if it turned out to be, he would let me know. But, so looking at their hours, they're closed Sunday. They're closed at 1 on Saturday, but the rest of the week, they're open 10 to 5 or 10 to 7, depending on the day. So that is an option. I mean, we can share that. He said, share it. People are more than welcome. We can send them down there. Only thing is there's no elevator because that building is set up kind of different because it's old. So the elevator goes to the 2nd floor, but it doesn't go to the half floor. But that is an option. And then I am working with the pier because they do stay open and they have been gracious during Ice Fest to let us use their facilities. And so during that time period to help, but we still need, we do
Right.
need some porta potty support.
so add to that mix, I did look at the potential of renting those. You've seen them maybe if you've been to a nice wedding and they have these trailers that have sinks and they're lovely on the insides and usually have a bouquet of flowers on the counter. So I looked into that, and a 2-unit luxury porta pot trailer would cost $2,500 per month, but there's a minimum of 3 consecutive months. And then you add the clean out and the fees to that. The trailer does need electricity. And so the closest place that we could park it, according to Lucas, would be Marina Park to get the amount of juice that it needs to have. It also has to have some kind of skirting, so it doesn't freeze underneath if it's gonna be out there in the winter months. And it needs someone to refill the water tank because it has a sink and running water. So that is probably not gonna be real feasible this year. But it's out there. Their opinion. So when time is up. So the board needs to decide how much money it wants to spend, if any, on this restroom facility over the next 9 months, because we won't be able to use the harbor master bathrooms. I did include a possible action to get you thinking. You could split the cost of the 2 porta pots that council suggests for the months of September, October, and May. And you could ask that at least one of them be placed in the business district. I don't know where council was suggesting that these should go, but if one was in the business district, that could help with the overflow. And then you could say, we need to run our own during the month of December for holiday shopping. And you could also get one for the Ice Fest out of the Ice Fest event budget. So those are other ways that you could put this packet together. And this is just temporary facilities. This has nothing to do with construction. It's just talking about restroom availability during the construction period. No funds are going to construction costs today.
My question is, can we move those porta potties up behind Gelson's or back into that area where they're good for the downtown shopping area instead of down at the Marina Park? Because even in the months of September and October, I would think that we are much busier in the downtown area than we are down there. As long as we're gonna help pay for it, why would we not want to centralize it where it's more available to more people that visit Springs?
I would think you'd want to include that in your motion.
I feel like we'd have to split it. We couldn't take all of the porta potties. We're gonna recommend and have them all not be where the central bathroom is. I feel like if, like, what's on there is the possible is to split them, what we just said. And have one of them be placed in the business district. I think that would be the way to go. I don't think we can just say, we're gonna take all of them away from where every single sign points to a bathroom. And where everyone's used to sending people and where everyone's used to knowing that the bathroom is there. It's like ingrained in people who've come here that they can find a bathroom. I mean, quite honestly, I feel like if we were to do it, we'd have to put 2 down there, a minimum of 2. And then if we wanted an extra one to put somewhere else, but we're also gonna have to figure out where the property is that could sit on. Because I don't think, Gail wants it in her parking spot. Just thoughts, those are my thoughts.
So you guys, where are the other bathrooms in town? They're City Hall, right?
City Hall, there's a porta potty,
Walk to City Hall, right downtown.
there's a porta potty at Zoll, there is Zorn Park, there is the marina, and there is the beach. Fort Park.
But in the winter,
Sorry, not-
there really aren't any bathrooms. Like the fact that, I mean, they close.
Okay, so historically what happens is the beach will close mid-October when the farmer's market's completed. Ford Park will end in November and the marina will stay open consistently throughout the winter. That's historically how it works. Now, the marina under construction being closed on Labor Day, Ford Park will remain open. Now, that's not really great within your district, so porta potties are still needed. There will still be public restrooms, City Hall and Ford Park open throughout the winter months. They won't all be closed.
So that's outlined at the beginning of your memo if you need to review.
I have a question, based on the construction of the marina building, are they working at maybe, because we do have this issue with the bathrooms, to complete the bathrooms early, and so they can, do it in stages, and so we have bathrooms at least? I know that should be a possibility, that they execute it out that way, so that we're not having to pay it all the way through the winter.
I don't know the answer to that.
So the construction project is to last through May, and they don't want anyone on site during the construction while they're working on the parts of the building. For example, they're doing light work to start in September, but they still do not want our harbor master looking there just for the risk of liability if something does happen. So no, they won't, even if the bathrooms are, which I don't know, the bathrooms might be done earlier or later, but the risk, the liability of such a small building, And all the construction went under, they don't want us occupying the building.
Makes sense.
Okay, any other thoughts? Bob?
The contractors are gonna have to provide porta potties down there. Why don't we do a deal with the contractors to pick up half the cost and have them put their porta potties outside the fence instead of inside the fence?
I could ask them, but
The
again,
contractors have to walk an extra 25 feet to get to the porta potty. And we can all, them and us, save a bunch of money. Why not?
I could ask them.
Tom, any comments?
Like, see, it sounded all.
If we were to. I'm just throwing this out there, anyone have any thoughts on where we would put another one if we put them in the CBD? Where is city property, I guess, that we would be allowed to do that?
About Mr. Schneider's building running water in the parking lot in the back.
That's not for me to, for me to say as private property, so. I was going off of what's public property, was my guess, but I wasn't gonna go for private. Without having someone here to volunteer their property.
Cora, I think that what we need to decide today is the funding and that we have a parking space or a parking lot or some underutilized spots, we'll be able to place it. And if the council agrees to bring one up into the CBD or the business district.
I think that as far as funding goes, there needs to be a minimum of two. I mean, I guess that's kind of where I'm a little confused on what we need to decide, because I think that there needs to be two of them for sure at the marina as a minimum. I do feel that way. I feel very strongly because that is where everyone historically, if they walk all the way there expecting there to be a bathroom, because they haven't been here, they only come here in the fall for one of the fall events, whether it's skeletons, which I've had people come to my store specifically for that, or if it's for Fall Fest and they go to use the bathroom there and it's not there and they've already hiked all the way there. I feel like it's very important that there's at least a porta potty there for people to use.
Would one suffice for that, or do you feel?
No, I think that there should be two. I really do feel like there should be two there.
We also have like Festival of the Book and Taste of Harbor, which I know are not our events, but as a downtown, we benefit from both of those. And
100%.
so the quantity of people to just say that there's one porta potty, I don't know, like right there, because those are
That-
concentrated.
That is definitely not
areas.
enough for those events.
Just some insight with my experience in the past with events and porta johns. Whatever you think you need, you should go above, because they'll be cleaner. If you do one or two and you think that's what you need, you have to realize that they're not cleaned every day like our public restrooms now. If you want town to be nice and smell nice, you really should go above that number. Not that you're deciding that today, but my recommendation would go for two, or do two and then one downtown. Otherwise, we're gonna run into a whole different problem that they're a mess, or they're not stocked properly. And we don't want that.
Right, which is a huge.
Better to spend the money and do it correctly.
The one thing I wanna make sure is that we have porta potties from the September all the way through May. Every month, we have customers downtown, even in the slow months. We are about to go on a campaign to talk about shopping in Harbor Springs this winter. We need to have bathrooms all 6-7 months. That should not be a sporadic event.
Wow.
I'm the new guy on the block. During Ice Fest and Santa Claus, do we depend on these facilities that we're talking about down at the harbor and here, there, wherever?
Yes.
We don't actually bring a couple of porta potties in and put them on the street someplace
We have not.
conveniently located for people to actually use them. Instead of, I have to go to the bathroom, well, I'll walk a half a mile, then I'll go.
Honestly, Bob, that's not, the time may have come for the way the Ice Fest is growing, and that could be something they decide to do this year regardless of the construction. The time has come maybe to think about that.
Just to clarify more from me than anyone else, we're only talking about this short period of time. And then during this time, we supply bathrooms, whether it be 2 down at Marina Park, whether it be 1 down at Marina Park and 1 in the CBD, or 3, 1 in the CBD and 2. And then we'll still work on a more permanent solution to at the CBD's issue of not.
I guess you could look at it that way. What do you want to participate in supporting city council?
Right.
And then what do you want additionally to that, if anything else?
So that means we'd want to spend additional money besides the 6,000 that they're looking for?
I don't know that the 6,000 would be the total cost, so we would participate in that cost. You could be very generous and volunteer to pay the whole thing.
That was the cost for only September, October, and May.
Right. That's what
So regardless of how much money we give them, that is what city council is planning on having porta potties down there for, regardless of how much we fund to this.
And just from my understanding, the city council did not plan on having porta potties at all, and that's why this is new and additional.
I don't understand that question. They
I'm just
did,
trying to figure out
at
why
their
it's doing
select
this at this
meeting,
late date.
it's important to have porta potties during the construction period, and they felt that 2 porta potties during the months of September, October, and May would cover it. And they're asking for some participation financially from the DDA to help with that expense. That expense could be around $6,000.
And I mean, I'm 100% ready to help fund bathrooms, because I think they're very, very, very important, as I cannot let people into where my bathrooms are because of kilns and dangerous things. But I just wanted to kind of like, going off of what Chuck's saying, make sure that I feel like there should be bathrooms available throughout the winter, because that's the bathrooms available throughout the winter. So that's my only concern. So, I mean, I would make a motion to go for the $6,000, but under the stipulation that it's September through May.
I support that we need to have bathrooms, 100%. But I also think it needs to be noted, like, as the DDA, we're not a bank to the city, and that if they need this, and we don't support the bathrooms right now necessarily. I mean, the bathrooms function, and that's the city and the harbor master and all of that. So I'm all for supporting it, because we do need to have bathrooms and we benefit from that. But I don't want it to become completely on us for something that really wasn't ours. And we didn't have feedback in the construction or the decision to have this construction, which I'm also in favor of. But it's one of those where we can't just be thought that we're gonna pay for it if they need it. It should be, and it's a mutual kind of thing, and we can meet them halfway or something, but it isn't that it's just on us.
So the 6,000 is total.
Total.
So if we went in half, that's just costing us 3,000.
Or if we went in with 6,000 and said, but we make we go in with 6,000 and we make the recommendation that it needs to be September through May.
Okay, so
For the duration of the construction.
So I'm hearing both stories here, and I agree with Sarah. So the premise of this, if you listen to the city council, is that they are short funds for the construction project, and that's why they were. And in fact, the talk was to even come to us for even more money, which is not, because the money that we do have should be used for projects that we need to be doing, not doing the construction of the marina building. I do agree with the bathrooms, okay? And that does make sense because we do use them. But then are we going down the slippery slope where we are going to be managing the bathrooms downtown going forward? And, we have some heavy lifting to do on our own, that we have to have a budget, and we need to be executing that down the road for us. And so I think we have to be very cautious and be responsible financially. But I do agree we should give the funds and help out with this, especially for the fall and going into the winter. I don't agree yet of taking the responsibility of solving the problems on the bathrooms just yet.
Terry.
So in the city council meetings, if I can speak for our 2 members that are here, the bathrooms subject really didn't get talked about very much. We talked about it a little bit, and that's how this ended up as being this potential cost of 6,000. But I really think, after listening to you all, that if with the town growing, like you're suggesting, and all these events getting bigger, this is more like a $20,000 project of getting toilets in a town that doesn't have, built toilets already, and so, just to Charles' point, it just, it wasn't really talked about at city council to such an extent as you all did here. And so it's really helped the subject by you guys talking about it. Because everyone's, I think, a lot clearer about what the issues are. Thank you, Meg.
I guess I would want to add to that, that it is in the DDA plan to add restrooms in the future. How we go about that, to build a building and to actually build a restroom is very, very expensive, but.
Victor?
Yeah, first I just want to clarify, Maggie, you had said that the city doesn't have the funds, the city does have the funds without DDA. The question about coming into DDA was more about whether DDA benefits from the bathrooms, that's why they wanted to ask the DDA for that. So, I mean, at this point, the construction starts in September, council wants them at minimum to see September, October, and May. So I guess a decision on that could be separate from a decision on having them throughout the winter, because since the construction starts in September, I mean, we're gonna order the bathrooms. I think it'd be good to know if the, people can pitch in. We can always discuss later about whether we want porta potties throughout the winter. That decision doesn't even be made right now. So you can separate those decisions if you want, unless of course you want, somebody to do something separate, but we could take council, you can discuss council's recommendations September, October, May. And decide on that now, then decide if you want to do something different for November through April.
And I agree with Victor keeping it separate, but I also think that if we really want to do a permanent bathroom, we have to start saving our funds and applying those funds towards those projects. And so we have a lot of things that we keep on throwing out there, and it's not a good foundation of what really the downtown master plan should be. So my point, I'm for supporting this. I just want to make sure that any future funds we think about, are we taking it out of the pot that we need to be doing for our master plan? And then, because that keeps on getting dwindled down. So that's my only point on that.
So I think right now, it is important, we have got to have restrooms, right, through this time period. And having them, I think, throughout the winter is the only way to go to May, because we don't have anything else. We don't have that plan yet, moving forward. So, are there any other questions or comments? Victor?
I want to respond to Bob. I texted our architect on the project about that question. He responded right away saying that the county requires the construction crew to have their own 181 porta potty for themselves, and that they recommend not sharing them with the public because it can mix liabilities if something happens between the construction workers and porta potty and public users. So there's a risk there. So that's why they advise against that. So anyway, it was a good idea, but that's what I got back.
Thanks, Victor. Jody?
If you went for 9 months, it would be $18,000. But you could go back to council and ask if they would split those costs. If you're looking at 18,000 times, or -3 for what the city would pay, that would be a $15,000 liability,
Or we split it in half with them.
9,000 a piece.
Which I mean, if that, I don't think we have the time to do that right now. I think we have to make a decision. And I mean, I'm, like I said, I modify my motion a little bit, but I make a motion to approve the $6,000, but not necessarily stipulating, but also with another recommendation that we think that they also need to be there. Like, we know the shopping habits, we know the events, and I think that they need to be there from September till May. We'll approve it, and then council can do what they want to do. I mean, if they want to come back to us and ask for more money, that's their decision, but that's the motion I've got. So approve the $6,000 and make a recommendation to council that they are from September through May.
So Cor, just to be clear, you're suggesting that the DDA pay the entire amount, not just contribute some to what it costs?
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess I didn't realize that there was that option. Yeah, I would say, yes, we do that, and then we we make the we contribute the $6,000 and make recommendation that it goes from September through May.
Okay, but I
think
think
we
what Becky
did-
is saying that the total cost is $6,000,
Right.
and does the DDA wanna cover all $6,000, or do
I
they wanna
agree.
split the cost?
But I think
Why don't you say
it has to go out to May. I think that's what you're saying.
Right.
We would support with $6,000 from September through May,
Right.
or to May. That's what I think that's what you're asking. We're not asking to pay $18,000.
I agree.
No.
Right now, it's only for $6,000 is staying for September, October, and May, period, not through May.
But they're just
Not that
asking
it's
that
a
that's their total
choice.
cost, we
No.
don't
We
participate.
have to have the other months covered.
Right.
We have.
So that's why I'm saying we say 6,000. And we would like to have the other months covered, so we're gonna donate that one, we're gonna donate the max that was requested from us. And but we are making a recommendation that the rest of the months need to be covered as well, so we will cover this and.
So they're asking for 6,000, we're gonna come back and say we need 12,000 more?
No. Pay for the rest of the months that are not supplied here.
Or so I don't think it should be a recommendation. It needs to be
A stipulation.
that we will approve $6,000. And instead of for the 3 months, we want it from September to May.
And if they say
And we
no,
have to say, I mean, it has to be stated.
and if they say
because
no, then we
can
say,
"We're not accepting your
if they say no
recommendation."
through May, you just give them 3,000.
So, could it be, this trailer, it's a $2,500 for 3 months. 7,500.
No, we're not doing the trailer, we're doing
Not
the quarter
doing
month
$2,500.
per month. With a 3-month minimum
I thought it was $2,500
And keep
per
in mind, the
unit.
city has
per month.
But you have to have it for 3 months.
The city has money.
So it's 7,500, so that would cover those the 3 months, and they're not consecutive, but maybe they would do that.
No,
But you would rather have the porta potties versus the trailers?
The porta potties are more affordable.
Different, they're more affordable.
Because that wasn't including, $2,500 was not including cleaning fees.
Oh, and the electric and.
Yeah,
Right.
and water, and whoever has to get the water there, because I'm assuming that the spigots are all turned off in the winter, so we have to be like hauled down there.
Okay, Cora, do you want to amend your motion?
So can I clarify, the council didn't ask for a specific number
Okay.
from the DDA, they asked for the DDA to contribute. So I think any recommendation you have, $6,000 is an estimate of the total cost of porta potties and cleaning for those 3 months. So if the DDA wants to contribute, it's my suggestion, a certain amount of money, up to $6,000 to those 3 months. Or if you want to then have a separate motion also talking about splitting the cost for the winter months. I think you should probably decide, Becky, if that's the case, decide on this request first, because that's what council has agreed to. Council's already agreed to those 3 months. And then perhaps make another recommendation motion on the.
So, I mean, I guess I would say that the one motion would be then we'd say $3,000. I would say $3,000 towards these 3 months, and that would be one motion, and then the second motion, if we want to make one, could be, we could donate $1,000 per month for the additional months if they cover the additional months. Is that,
I like that.
does everyone like that?
Yeah.
and that's a total of,
So let's see, how many months we have, it's September, October, so
10,000.
total.
Gave them extra 4,000.
So, but I mean, I think it's, I mean, if us contributing $1,000 a month to ensure that we have bathrooms for our customers.
But we will still have to, as DDA, we will still have to come up with additional funds for those other 3-4 months. If we want.
Well, I'm saying
if we
we're
want
saying
porta
donate
potties also-
$1,000 for each month, each additional month. So it's 2 motions. One motion was we'll donate $3,000.
But who's gonna pay for the other additional months?
We will.
We will. And I'm gonna
That's
make.
what I'm saying.
Well,
We, besides whatever 6,000 we get, we're gonna.
At the same time, this is a construction project that was planned for many years. They had a budget, okay, and they had to have planned out bathrooms as well. They're coming to us to participate, not solve the problem. So I'm here, I'm willing to say, we'll cover half the cost that you're asking for these months. And we'll cover the cost if you go half of the cost going forward. and let's say let's say the, you know, the building comes in on time or it's sooner than later. I mean, I just don't want to give them all this money up front. I'd rather them come to us again at another meeting. Because
I just want to stress the importance to them that we need bathrooms.
I totally agree, but this is a project that they have planned and they should have had this in the budget. But we are participating because we are good stewards around this and to give them funds. I don't think we should solve the problem though, because they should be solving the problem as well. And keep in mind, in the wintertime, all construction workers use the marina bathroom, not just the construction workers who be working on the building. You have many contractors around this town that go to the marina to use those bathrooms. So that's another thing that we need to point out.
So
I
right
would just,
now-
I would just do this right here and then come back at a later date and let them know that we want bathrooms all the way throughout until the project's done.
So then I would say I make a motion to. Sixth motion, I make a motion to recommend $3,000 to be donated for September, October, and May. For the cost of helping fund the bathrooms. And then a second motion would be, we make a recommendation to have bathrooms from September through May. And see what their decision is from that. If they want us to provide more funding, we can ask us and we can go.
We already know we're covered through September and October through that partnership of the.
And May, yep,
participation at
and May.
$3,000. And then they have time to meet again with the recommendation that we would like to see them for 9 months.
Yep.
And then we'll hear what, it's like a card game almost, where show your
Yeah.
cards, but that we would like to participate in that as well. if they would do
Absolutely,
that.
Okay, there's a motion, you made the motion,
Yep,
okay, there's a motion
One
on the
at a time.
table.
One at a
I'm gonna take one at a
one
time.
at a time, okay, so let me,
Oh, yeah,
okay, or you got it.
Is there a second to Cora's motion?
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I was gonna state it.
I'm
All
sorry.
right. So we have a motion on the table that we will pay for $3,000 towards the porta potties, September, October, and May. So did you second hers? Okay. Is, maybe we get a vote. All in favor, say aye. 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 Excellent, that passed. The second motion, and this one I may need a little help on, is that we're going to recommend to the city council that I'm gonna say the city provides porta potties for the months not included to May. All right.
Yeah. And if they would do that, we would support financially.
Okay, we would support financially. How's that? Okay. Vote. Oh,
Second, that was.
oh, yes, they have.
Let's back up and be a little bit more clear about that. Cora had initially said $1,000 a month we would support financially. I think we should specify what we would like to pay in November, January, February, March, and April. That's 5 months. Would you put another $5,000 in another $1,000 a month? So you're telling them exactly what you would be prepared to do if they will go that long?
That's what I was trying to say, but
Yeah, okay.
I got pulled back because.
Okay.
That's good.
Becky, it's 6 months. You forgot April.
November,
Oh.
December, January.
Whatever.
January, February, March.
6 months.
Yes.
Doesn't matter, 6.
6 months.
Okay.
So it'd be a total of $9,000 that you would be contributing if council will take up the slack and on those other 6 months.
I think it makes a lot of sense. I think we're helping as much as we can and I mean, we're going. Yeah, and I think that should help the burden of them having to provide porta potties while working on this project. And it also helps ensure that our customers have restroom, that the people who have come here for years and years and years, who always know where the restrooms are, have always gone there to use the restrooms, there will be a bathroom there for them to use.
And if they do say no, then we have time to decide how we're gonna handle it so that we are sure.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay, so let me try to phrase this. So the first one is done. We accepted that.
Right.
We'll pay this $3,000 towards September, October, May. Okay, the second is that we're recommending to city council that we want to rep the porta potties through May, so that's 6 months additional. And we are willing to pay $1,000 a month towards that expenditure.
Correct.
Got it, correct?
Perfect.
Second? Okay. Now we take it to a vote. Everyone in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone against say no.
I'm gonna say no, because I think the city has to have had those bathrooms open anyway, because they're used throughout the winter. And so for us to make this second motion, I think we should wait until they talk to us before we are making the first step. This is not our project. So I say no.
No, she's us fast.
It's fine.
Okay, motion, thank you.
Thank you for all that talk and consideration. I get it. It's a big discussion.
Okay,
Nick.
It should be short.
It should be.
In your packet, you should have a resolution. There was a property split on Main Street. And it's a section of property headed towards Bay Street. So what it did for the TIF purposes, that split piece of parcel, that was split off, has to remain because the county has to maintain that base value. However, it was combined with another piece of property. So it's a separate parcel for TIF purposes at the county only. For here, it's just part of another parcel that exists. Parent parcel, children parcel, combined. The wayward parcel has been being charged with special assessment, which is really not even in existence anymore. So all it is they need something from the DDA to remove it from the tax.
any questions?
I just want to say that that's a much better explanation than my memo. So.
Yeah, I can make a motion to recommend to abandon the said parcel from the special assessment.
Second,
I second.
Chuck seconds. Okay, we have a motion on the table to abandon that section. And we just need a vote. Everyone in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say no. Motion passed.
Can you guys tell us where it is?
I believe it's between the bookstore, the toy store, Rocking Horse, and House, but on the side of the building.
So that's part of Richmond's walkway then, public.
It's far, I think it's a, no, it's a.
It would be, no, it's part of it. It would be further, yeah, the other direction from Merchants Walkway.
I'm not sure exactly where it is, or what my role is.
That's what it.
Excellent,
Hey,
thanks.
I have a question. What about the property that is the parking lot that is the DDA's versus the city? That was a discussion, I believe, at a city council meeting?
We're going to talk about that in like comments at the end.
Okay, gotcha.
Good,
Okay.
I don't know anything about.
What do you do?
Okay, so Jody, motions committee report.
Thanks, folks.
Thank you, Nick.
It appears Becky's gone over most of this, so I'll just add a few points in lieu of the timeliness. Keep It Real Social, our social media presence has increased by 12% in the last 3 months. So we've discussed potentially putting in the budget using Keep It Real Social a little bit more so for next year's budget. They are making it a big difference and getting the exposure out there. They're doing individual storefronts now. So if anybody says to you, they're gonna get to all of them. They're gonna get to all of them eventually. So if anybody says, what about me? Discussion about Downtown Day, which is the end of September. We're gonna come up with an easier way Keep It Real Social is gonna come up with a QR code, so people can they can put in their raffle. Their raffle,
You can enter that way.
their entry,
It'll go
thank
right to
you
the
for the
web.
raffle. We'll still have 2 prizes. Gail and I will help it around town and pick up the prizes. Hopefully we'll get as many as we did last year and a little bit more social media presence on that perhaps. Although last year was a good winner. And we've obviously decided to nix the shuttle, considering it's August 13th. And probably forever. And that's all I have. We discussed the year-end activities and a lot of this was already discussed, so.
And they do have complete reports in their packet.
When you do have.
Others
complete
can
report,
see
then-
online.
Thanks, Jody. Okay, Margaret, the enhancement committee.
Sorry, I was late.
It's okay, I was so glad to see you walk in though. I didn't have a report in front of me.
The benches, bike racks and trash cans are out and they all look good. We're still painting a few of the trash cans from green to black. We're still working on sidewalk repair is one of the things we, as a committee, we're trying to do throughout downtown, and that would involve probably new trees and tree openings. We are talking about cleaning up the dirty lamp globes. That's kind of in the works, I'm sure. The flower pots, everybody has been so positive about them. We have had a few little whoopsies. Somebody forgot to water one, like, uh-oh, dead. But the rain has been helpful. Merchants Walkway, the landscaping has been, we looked at it through David Hoffman or Lewis Hoffman. And is that gonna go ahead?
Well, you didn't like the plan. So I went back to him and he's gonna come back with another plan, but that will be finished by the end of the year.
Okay. But the Merchants Walkway looks really nice. The stones and the finish, it really looks good. We are still looking over Dana Mulder's street and plan that she had for the downtown. And that's one of the things that's going to be a big project that we're going to work on. We're all reading the report and trying to get some ideas for the next time we meet. We're still talking about public art and facade grants and tree grades, but that's all in the works. But I think that's, we've been busy.
Excellent.
I would say both committees met all through the summer. They did not skip a meeting, so they're dedicated, even though we didn't have a board meeting, the committees did meet, so.
Okay, Becky.
Okay, so these are things I wanted you to know about. We did have an issue with the farmer's market. We had some merchants complain that the street was closed on busy mornings, that the tear down takes too long, that the shops are roped off from the market, that farmers market shoppers take up all the parking spaces, that people don't think there are shops on the street and they don't shop during the market. I worked with the market master and the businesses to resolve this. The businesses actually weren't that well informed. They didn't realize that the farmers market did apply to have use of the public right of way until 2 o'clock, and that they had every right to be there, even if they only have one stall that's left there. But the market master said, I'll get it out there as quickly as I can. I'm cognizant of this now, and I will make sure that we get closed as soon as that happens. The information about the roping was that it was just solely the roping will only close it off 2 times during the year. They use that for survey purposes, so they can make sure that no one can leave the market except going out the main entrance, so they can see how many people came. The market master is more than happy to do whatever is possible to be business friendly, and she still wants to do what's best for the market. She did have a sign that we placed. It says business is open at the end, and that made a big important, a big difference as well, so. Just little things of keeping the peace and. We had some, weeding and maintenance issues. I do want to say thank you to the National Honor Society. Gail has weeded, Margaret has weeded. I'm sure Maggie has weeded as she's walked around. I've spent a number of hours weeding. But don't take me wrong, I love gardening and there's not too much I'd rather be doing if it's a nice day than be out pulling weeds and planting things. But you need to know that I've spent several hours, some of it, it's been volunteer, but I'm a part-time employee. And as you move forward into broadening your programs, you know, you have to decide where these, maybe you need another person to do this. I'm not sure, but there's something to be cognizant of as you prepare for future staffing. We're very grateful for Nate. If we didn't have Nate, I don't know where we would be in this. Do I need to stop?
No.
No, okay. But he is a Parks and Rec employee first and foremost. So we're gonna be talking about that at the end of the season. We did talk about the seasonal flower, the flower pot plans. We are, and after, at the end of the summer, we've gotten we've talked with Polly's planning. They're gonna do some fall planning for us. We need to determine with Lucas how many of these pots are gonna be able to be left out on the street over the winter, depending on the ice and snow. So that's something we're still working on. The Merchants Walkway already has some annuals that are planted. That cost was split between Bill Winslow's, Colville Banker, who's in property backs up to that. And then Polly's went in and planted some annuals there. That's just temporary to get us through this season so we don't see a lot of weeds. We did, to expand on what Margaret was talking about, we did talk about with David Hoffman about a plan for these 3 areas. He did have brought one back. I'm talking to one of the property owners that is on Bay Street that has the piece that backs up with a long strip behind it. She would really like to see hydrangeas there. The committee would really like to see hydrangeas there. David had recommended something different, so he's going to go back to the drawing board and come back. And then the enhancement committee will look at that again. But the intention is that that will be planning at the end of this year. That funding was included in the beautification project budget for this year. So we did work hard to work on some of the issues with the donated benches. We had super assistance from Parks and Rec and from DPW on this. Ed Throckmorton's is not yet in its final location. He has to get the one that is there removed, and it's a bigger project than he thought. So I think it looks great where it is, but it's his, he wants it to go where the other one was. And the same with the anonymous donor bench. That is on the sidewalk now, but that needs to be moved over the winter probably, or before next spring, to the clock corner, and some rearrangement has to go there. So what was brought up earlier is the New York parking lot. Maybe some of you know this if you follow the city council meetings, but it's big news. It belongs to us.
Oh.
And we didn't know that. The city didn't know that. It was found almost accidentally. And it's always been treated as city property, and now it's DDA property. So free property is good news for all kinds of opportunity opening up there, but it also will be our responsibility going forward. More to come on that. That's something we'll approach holistically, I guess, but could be a good place for a restaurant. So we'll see about that. So another, just real quickly, I've been hearing a lot about the 2 P words, parking and public restrooms. Lots of talk about them this summer. And I want to just lay the groundwork here. Just don't anybody go out with their hair on fire. But I did have a visit from a representative of Park Mobile, which is an app that you can use to park your car with. I'm familiar with the company. They have a new program where you can use meterless enforcement parking. So people just use an app and they pay for their parking that way, and you can do it seasonally. Just something to consider. Not ready to present it to you yet at all. It's new and different. There are some other Northern Michigan communities that are looking at this, and that would make it simpler to pass here. It could make, haven't even talked to any staff about this. So just, I want to be totally transparent. But if other communities do it as well, it could be a good thing. If go no place, we just see that it's on the table. It's, parking is a problem, and we have to look at all the possibilities that are out there. We just have to consider them, whether it's anything we want to stomach or not. And then about the public restrooms, when I researched these luxury porta pots, I found that you can buy one of these trailers, and the price is not overwhelming. Very early to be thinking about this. It would have to be, there'd be wiring and some mechanical things would have to be done, but for under $100,000, we may be able to have one of those. And that might be something the board would want to look at in the future. I don't see how, I know what it costs to put the restroom addition on behind the chamber building in Petoskey. It's millions of dollars. I don't see where we're ever going to be able to build a building like that. It's just way too expensive. So as we continue trying to find a place for people to use a restroom, this has to be on our plate to see how we would go about this. It is in our plan to add more restrooms. Maybe that's a solution, maybe not. Another real quick thing that you should be aware of is that Victor had a meeting with Beth and me, Lucas, about newspaper boxes on the sidewalks. This is something that there was a request from a distributor who wants to put their boxes. You've seen these boxes where you could talked about clutter and streetscape issues. If there's litter that's involved with them, lots of potential problems when you allow this to happen, to be put in the public right of way. Council did talk about it at their last meeting. I was kind of unclear where they left it, but I think they gave Victor more to go ahead and examine it more, or to look for.
Yeah, so Jim Raymer, city attorney, is looking into whether or not we are required to allow newspaper racks or boxes on public property. And we actually, as I suspected, we might have to. But we will be going back to council. Jim Raymer will have a legal memo for council to review. So, yeah, the Supreme Court and different courts have ruled.
How does that work? Like, do they have to lease the property from the city? Like, or do they just allowed to put it there for free at no charge? I don't know. I mean, I don't think anyone knows anything about this.
Yeah.
It sounds like we're all learning.
Well, back in the 80s and 90s, this was a big issue when newspapers were prevalent, right? When they're not digital, they were more physical. And this went all the way up to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court did not rule on the specific issue on whether or not a city had to allow boxes on property, but state courts and circuit courts and Court of Appeals have ruled on that throughout the country. And so far, those opinions have saying you cannot, it's a violation of the First Amendment to limit that. So we can control, however, we'll go out. I want to get too much detail. It's likely we can control where they're located and details of that. However, it's very unlikely that we're allowed to completely prohibit them from public property. So thanks for bringing that up, because Jim Raymer is working on a memo, council will review that, and that will allow us. Now, the big issue we obviously know is that, it's not frequent. We're not, are we going to likely get a lot of, newspapers that want to, there's not that many free newspapers, there's some of these magazines and stuff, but that's where it can run into trouble is, where these, how many do we have to allow, where, and et cetera. So, yeah.
I just feel like every store has those. I mean, I feel like every business has like the Graphic and the Express. A lot of the businesses have those already in them. So that's what I'm trying to figure out what else, like, yeah, but.
Yeah, and the
It's
purpose here, Northern Express came to council, and they said they wanted a copy available outside of when
Businesses are
open.
Interesting. So stay tuned on that one. And then the final thing I want to talk about is the council request for restroom maintenance support. Maggie alluded to this earlier. At a recent council meeting, they moved to pay for the restroom remodel, and they're going to pay for it with general funds 75, or harbor master funds 75%, and general funds 25%. So they have resolved how that new construction will be paid for. The idea of not requesting DDA participation plan was abandoned primarily due to the fact that the DDA plan specifies that funds should be spent on new restrooms, not on remodeling. we're supposed to add to the inventory. So that was the primary reason that they didn't pursue that plan, and I know we had talked about that in the past. So they, and I'm being kind of like a reporter here, I'm saying in an effort to get DDA dollars invested in the project, it suggested that the DDA pay for some level of maintenance to those restrooms going forward. And the restrooms are used by visitors to downtown. So more fact finding needs to be done because that money would need to come from the special assessment, not from the TIF. We need to spend some time working on exactly what the special assessment does currently pay for, how much money is left in it that we would even be able to say, yes, we can contribute that if we wanted to. And it may not be much.
And what the cost is right now.
And also, and we also need to know what the cost is, also what the maintenance fund is right now, and that's the second thing. So those two things are, hey, have a great trip.
Thank you.
Sorry. Okay.
See you guys.
So those things too have to be found before we can even have any serious discussion on this, but it's out there and I wanted to talk about it today so that everyone was clear on where this actually stands. The other thing that I firmly believe in is it should be part of our budget and it should be part of the budget making process. And I don't like to do that in isolation. So I don't see that there's a rush on this when we, we'll talk more about this when we do our budget this fall and see if that is something that we want to include. And even if it's possible to include, if we have the money to do it. So I don't like to just say, yes, we'll support this, but you have to look at it holistically and not piece by piece. So that's all I have.
That's all you
How
have.
much you have questions?
Public comment. Anything? Board comments? Any? No? Okay. 9:32, we'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a little one.